The news at 9.
Now, coming up next, we're interviewing a photographer who's giving you his best tips and tricks for taking great pictures from your phone. We'll be right back in just a bit. By a man whose name you might recognize, Michael Rhino. He's one of our regular contributors for Pick of the Day. He's also that guy behind that viral goat video that we showed a few months back. But we're talking about how you can get great shots, not from a camera like that, but from your phone.
Yeah, before we get to all of that, Michael, first we want to show off some of your work. I think we have some photos that we can show, and you're going to tell us a little bit about how you use your phone as well. These are some of your photos, and I always think they are so incredible. We feature them a lot on our morning show and, of course, here on 11 News at 9. Talk a little bit about your photos first and what inspires you.
Yeah, a lot of times I will try and, like I say, most of the time I'm out there with my large camera here and that, but we like to say that the best camera is the camera you have with you, and oftentimes this is not one that I can bring with me. So the cell phones these days have an amazing capabilities in that for doing a lot of the same things that I can do with this. But a lot of the ones that you're seeing right here were taken with my
I love that shot. Is that your dog, by the way?
That's our dog. That's my dog.
That's awesome.
Right.
Well, let's talk about your camera in your right hand.
Yeah.
How much did that set you back? I know our viewers are curious.
Sure. So a Nikon camera, a mirrorless camera. The camera is about $3,200, and the lens is probably another $2,000 or so, something like that.
So there you go. But we'll let you set the heavy camera aside real fast.
Right.
He's going to put it by Kevin. Hopefully he doesn't knock it over.
We're going to do something pretty cool on 11 News. He's going to show us some things you can do with your smartphone, and I'm going to use my phone to show those things off. So let's take that live look. And Michael, walk us through, if you've got an iPhone, just some of the things you recommend using.
Yeah, I recommend using some of the, not just going into the default settings, but use some of the other features here. What we're showing right here is the portrait mode. So this is an iPhone 12. One of these days I will get the 16. But
you don't need it, it's all the same.
But in the portrait mode, you have a couple different things. One is you can adjust your aperture. So if this F right here, if I slide this down to 1.4, I will get a shallow depth of field. The picture you showed of our dog, I was using a shallower depth of field, so he gets more in focus and the background blurs. And if you go way up here to F16, similar to what I do with my other camera in that, I can get greater depth of field. Everything gets into focus, and you get more the better part of the scene. The other thing that I want to show that's really creative here in the portrait mode is this little menu that's right here. Slide these across, and they have different lighting scenarios. So if I were to take a picture of a person with one of these high key, you have high key stage light, contour light, and studio light. But anyways, you can even make these adjustments after you've taken your image. You can go back, and when you're post-processing, you can adjust those. So I really recommend
just playing around.
Just playing around
is really the big thing.
Become familiar with your camera settings. Like I say, in portrait mode, use the aperture, and then also use these lighting scenarios.
Perfect. And I do want to go over some tips that you shared with us, not just diving into the phone and playing, but we got a full screen graphic that I want to pull up real fast. For those people who want to start playing around with their phone, you've got some tips when it comes down to it. So go through that. I mean, time of day matters. Is that right?
Time of day, irregardless of all photography, right? So most of the times you'll get better photos early, I'll say that first hour of light in the morning and the last hour of light in the evening, just softer light. You get, again, just better images in general. Also, one of the things I like to say is a better way to get interesting images and put yourself in front of interesting subjects.
There you go.
It sounds basic, but
you're part of a group, and I want to talk more with you, Michael, but we're out of time today. I'm going to get some more details up on our website later today, KKTV.com, because you're part of a group of photographers in the Denver area, down here in Colorado Springs, and we love sharing your stuff. So
great, thank you.
If our viewers are interested in maybe talking more, are you okay if I share your contact info with some of that?
I appreciate that. Yes.
Michael, you are an amazing photographer. Thank you so much for the time, for the insight. We'll be right back talking about clouds in just a bit. Meteorologist Kevin Bloomberg has your full forecast coming up after the break.
Great. Thank you for having me.